acid can do to an inexperienced young girl?
I want to know what happened.
5 boys have been here.
The most shocking film of our generation.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you
Dave the Pickup Artist. Hello, vinyl community. Dave the Pickup Artist with you. Hope everybody's doing good, staying cool. Very hot here in Florida. Jacksonville so hot I saw a cop chasing a thief, and they were both walking.
Hush up, boy.
It's hot. Thieves and crackheads are so hot, they're putting copper back in the air conditioners. That's how hot it is. So with that, let's get on with Psychedelic Sunday.
We got us some good uns. Dogged if we don't.
The first item I have is a psychedelic band from Canada. And I don't have a lot of psych from Canada, so this is cool. We got Nucleus.
The beginning is CH. Squealers. CH. Squealer. JR. Dirty heavy because it doesn't want to be called Toto. Princess Squire. Princess Squire. And all human beings and humans across the
From Toronto, formed in 1966. As you can see by these cracked eggs here, Nucleus was not a band that was formed, they were a band that was hatched. Having come out of these nuts.
Got it!
We've got 180 gram vinyl. And of course, this was released on Mainstream, one of the popular psychedelic labels. A lot of psychedelic acts on Mainstream. Another shot of the band. Now, yeah, these guys started out another one hit or one and done album band. They put this out in '68. And yeah, it didn't go anywhere. They broke up. They were supposed to do a big U.S. tour where they were going to be on, they were going to hit the Whiskey a Go-Go and hopefully get some exposure. But, unfortunately, they just broke up. This is Progadelic. Prog Psych, Proto-Prog.
Come on, man. I think this place is bleeding toxic.
Love the Grateful Dead, and one of my favorite comps is What a Long Strange Trip It's Been. This is a double album that came out in the early 70s, 2 record set. Now this collects, it's not a greatest hits comp. They've collected songs from their first 4
wise guy with me a little bit.
studio albums, and they've added a couple live tracks and a couple of rarities. Namely, 2 of the rarities are, if you could see the hype sticker, they do a different version of Born Cross-Eyed from Anthem of the Sun. And they also do on here for the first time is a single version of Dark Star. Now, most folks know Dark Star as the concert staple of all the Dead shows. Not all the Dead shows, but they did that song a lot throughout their career. They started doing it in the 60s. They did it every night. They didn't have, they had basically the same set list. for a while every night. They'd always do Dark Star. It was the highlight of the night. And then they varied their sets, which is what they became famous for. But they still did it occasionally. And but nobody really ever heard the single version until this album came out. It was released in 1968 as a single. Jerry Garcia wrote the chords, and it wasn't, he couldn't complete it because he was looking for some lyrics for it. And he hooked up with Robert Hunter, who went on to work with the Dead, and he put the lyrics together with Jerry's chords. About 20 years ago, they put out this CD, and I'm pretty sure you can't find this in vinyl. Prove me wrong. Now this is called Gray Folded. It's a 2 CD set, and what the Grateful Dead have done, they've partnered with this guy named Oswald, who's the head of an organization called Plunderphonics. What they do is they splice music together. They do it for commercials and stuff like that, but what they've done in this case is they've taken tracks from just about all of the versions of Dark Star, from the various shows, from the Fillmore concert all the way up until the end in the 90s, and he's spliced together to form this 2-hour, it's a 2-hour version of Dark Star. Over 100 versions of Dark Star. Now, you pop this out, you have the 2 CDs, and you have a graft, which I'll try to do a close-up of. And you can see they start with the early days in the Fillmore. This is actually really cool. That's the first. The blips make up the, I'm going to do a close-up of that. And here's the other disc. There's just several versions of Dark Star spliced together. It's weird. It's not for everybody. You have to definitely have to be a fan of the Dead and Dark Star in particular. But I don't even know if you could find this anymore, but it's very cool. Dark Star. I saw the Grateful Dead once in Tampa at the final tour, and they didn't do Dark Star. They did Jack Straw and drums. I think they did. Yeah, it was a good time. The next album I have, we're going to go over to Texas. We've got a Texas hard rock psych band, Josephus.
You jailhouse lawyer.
I know there's only darkness when you sleep.
Get off my case. These guys had 2 albums out in the 60s. They actually outsold the Beatles in Houston, Texas, where they're from. They had the help of local DJs who would actually play one of their signature tracks called Dead Man, a 15-minute track that would be the title track to their, I think it's their first album. And then they did another, I think a self-titled album called Josephus. It was, a lot of people were disappointed in it. They said it didn't sound like the band live. But yeah, Josephus. This album came with a booklet. The booklet includes items, you know, the usual fare. We've got pictures of some of the band and a interview with a guy, I guess the last guy left. And he regrets at one point he was approached by ZZ Top to join them, and he regrets not doing that. And you know, these guys held court with the great Texas psych bands like Bubble Puppy and 13th Floor Elevators. But these guys did the reunion thing in the 90s. But in 1990, the drummer, who was nicknamed Josephus, that's what he was who the band was named after. He got arrested for speeding and hung himself in his jail cell. So obviously he didn't make the reunion. But yeah, Josephus, try to find those first two albums. This is kind of a unreleased stuff from the first album. But yeah, hard rock, Josephus.
It's called Pushing Too Hard.
We hope you like it. We think it's gassy.
You're pushing too hard, or pushing on me. You're pushing too hard, or what you want me to be. You're pushing too hard, about the things you say. You're pushing too hard, every night and day. You're pushing too hard on me.
Next, I've got a pair of albums from one of my favorite bands, The Seeds. First up, we've got their third album, Future.
Rise and walk, and the nights are black. The clouds and shadows, the memory land. You're flying off through an island dreams, and now you're lost in lonely scenes. There's a drink on the every morning, waiting to feel the weather sin. You said better watch yourself, little girl. You said better.
This finds The Seeds in a more psychedelic path. Their first two albums were garage psych, but they're doing a little bit more experimenting here. Yeah, a little bit more psychedelic. They put in some piano. They still have that great organ, but there's more a little bit of piano in this, a little bit of phasing and studio trickery. Yeah, it may be my favorite Seeds album, but I'm looking for the first two. I'd like to find original copies of the first two Seeds albums. But I'd also like to find there's 50th anniversary reissues too that are neat, because they come in a 2-record set, and one of the records has like outtakes, rarities, I think even ads, commercials and stuff like that. So that would be fun to pick up also. But yeah, Futures, another great Seeds album. It came out in '67. I think the first two albums came out in '66. And after that, well, first they had getting back to Futures, this is the inner sleeve. It came with ads from the Crescendo. I guess these are all reissues from the new label. But this is interesting. There's apparently a documentary on the Seeds called Pushing Too Hard, and they're advertising it here. It's on pushingtoohard.com.
Go to Joe 30330 and help me in this.
The second Seeds album I have is Raw and Alive. This is a great live album they did. yeah, it's alive, but they did it in the studio, and the audience, I believe, was canned in. They actually did have, when they played clubs and after they had a hit, they actually had screaming fans. This covers all their great songs. We've got Mr. Farmer, Can't Seem to Make You Mine, Pushing Too Hard, Up in Her Room, great drum solo by their drummer. Don't know his name, but some pretty cool photos on the back. Yeah, this is great from beginning to end. Not a bad track. Sound quality, not the greatest, but it sounds good enough for me. I even like the canned. I even like it despite the canned applause. It's just that good. Yeah, if you can find this, it's definitely worth a listen. And yes, that's all I've got this week. Hope everybody has a great week, and we'll see you real soon. Take care, all.
You think I'm kidding? No.
Biden's being Biden's being an extremist.
I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
I'm Joe Biden, and I forgot this message.